one of the realities for the 49ers, if indeed Deebo Samuel is looking for a major contract right now, is $25 million plus is currently devoted to quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy that we have assumed they're going to trade at some point. Now, this is when that classic 49ers overthinking / stubbornness comes into play, because Jimmy Garoppolo got shoulder surgery after the season on his throwing shoulder. Team didn't know, went off campus and did it on his own. That was red flags for other teams that may have been interested in trading for him. And let's just remember where this stands. 1 year left on his contract, $25 million compensation package. Who's going to trade for him under that scenario? With no guarantee beyond this year, Garoppolo holds all the cards. He doesn't have a no-trade clause, but he holds all the cards. All he has to say is, I'm not signing an extension. You got to pay me $25 million for 1 year. Who's going to pay him $25 million for 1 year? And I know the market's up near 50 now, but who's going to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $25 million for 1 year? Most of the seats have been filled. There aren't many teams out there right now that would do it. You can get Baker Mayfield for 18.8, and frankly, I'd take Baker for 18.8 before I'd take Jimmy Garoppolo at 25. So the 49ers continue to dig in. There was one point in the offseason where Jimmy Garoppolo seemed to think this was all going to happen very quickly. Now, that was before he had the surgery. But Garoppolo made the media rounds yesterday, and I thought the timing of that was odd. This is another situation where maybe a guy's best play is to lay low. Maybe he's deciding his best play is to agitate. And to the extent the 49ers are thinking that they could have a repeat of last year where they just keep Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're already putting that idea out there. Remember that kind of weird effort by Jed York to compare Garoppolo and Trey Lance to Joe Montana and Steve Young, and how odd that was. But they're trying to convince people that, yeah, we'll keep him on the roster and pay him $25 million, and Trey Lance maybe will sit for another year or maybe longer. Who knows? Steve Young sat for 4 years. If Steve Young can sit for 4 years, why can't someone else? Which completely ignores the realities of today's NFL. But this notion that they would just keep Lance on the bench for one more year and pay Garoppolo $25 million, I think we need to consider that in light of something that Garoppolo said yesterday to our good friend Adam Shine when the question came up of how the experience was in 2021 with Garoppolo as the incumbent starter and the 49ers giving up ultimately 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to get Trey Lance, Garoppolo's inevitable replacement. Here's Garoppolo from yesterday.
Trey was really cool. He was down to earth. Didn't really come in entitled or anything like that. Just was a normal guy, and I appreciate him for that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It was it was a strange year. It's I don't know if I wish that on anybody, but it worked out. We're here now.
It was a really strange year. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Yeah, good luck selling Jimmy G on doing it again. And I know he's under contract, and if you want your $25 million, you got to show up, yada, yada, yada. But it's not going to help the 49ers sell this notion that they'll just keep him around. And this is the contrast between Jimmy G and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield seems to be taking the approach that he's just going to go along to get along, to rebuild his career, to not be a pain in the butt, to be very discreet and compliant, and we'll see where this goes, even if he ends up being traded to a team where he can't have the best possible season and put himself in the best position for a major contract. Garoppolo, on the other hand, based upon what happened yesterday, and I know he did at least 2 interviews. Maybe he did more. We were not included. How dare you, Jimmy? After all the nice things I've said about him, I can't even say that with a straight face. So he's going out and saying this stuff. That can't make the 49ers feel good about their ability to pull off this ruse that, yes, we'll just keep Jimmy G. You can't reconcile that with Jimmy G saying, last season was a strange year that I wouldn't wish on anybody. Sorry, 49ers, to blow up your plan. But maybe we'll see more of that. Now, Garoppolo also said that the shoulder will be ready to go by training camp. So it's not like he's going to show up for the offseason program, but I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Just, hey, here I am. Deal with me. It does get awkward, but if he's agitating to be cut, I think both of these guys would love to be cut. Then you get to pick where you go next. You're a free agent. You're not saddled by the deal that you currently have. Now, hey, from Jimmy G's perspective, maybe it'd be great to get $25 million, but if the 49ers are going to cut him anyway right before the start of the season, and I think that's what ultimately would happen. I don't think they're so stubborn that they really would, if it came down to it, keep Jimmy G around at $25 million, especially after what he said yesterday. They know what's really going on there. They know what the vibe is, and there's a point where it becomes counterproductive to the development of Trey Lance. I wrote that several weeks ago. This dance they're doing with Jimmy Garoppolo will undermine Trey Lance at some point. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to take the chance that you're going to do anything that affects the ability of the guy that you have made the major investment in to become the quarterback he can be by keeping around, for clumsy strategic reasons, the guy that he's going to be replacing? So if this is a ruse, and if it ends just before the start of the regular season when Garoppolo's contract is about to become, as a practical matter, guaranteed, and you cut him then, just a week or so before the start of the season, then it's good luck Jimmy G finding another home. Why does Garoppolo want to go along with that? The difference is Baker Mayfield's getting his money one way or the other. He's getting $18.8 million this year. It's just a matter of who he gets it from and how much the Browns have to pay to make a trade happen. Mayfield's thinking about 2023. His money for 2022 is already earned. Garoppolo's is not. That is the difference, and I've kind of talked my way into finally making sense of this. Baker Mayfield's getting his money either way. Jimmy Garoppolo is guaranteed nothing. So the sooner Jimmy Garoppolo can either get traded or cut, the sooner he knows what he's going to be earning for 2022. Because if the 49ers play this game the way I think they're ultimately going to play it and say goodbye Jimmy right before the start of the regular season, he's going to be in a spot where he is a man without a country, a man without a paycheck, a man without anything, as everyone else has their depth charts set in stone and are ready to go with the season. So I got to give Jimmy some credit for coming out and saying the things he said yesterday, and I think this is the beginning, not the end. I think this is an example of how a player will begin the process of agitating for what he wants, and I suspect he wants to take a hike from San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.